Hello, and welcome to Bible Story Time with Pastor Chris. And don't worry, your screen or TV isn't messed up. I'm upside down. Let me fix that. You see, a snap doesn't always have to be to hurt people. Well, today's lesson is all about some things that sound a little upside down to people. In today's lesson, we're going to look at Jesus as a teacher. Jesus is going to teach his disciples and his followers how to live for God, how to live in the kingdom of God, and how to live for Jesus. So let's listen closely. This is found in Matthew chapter 5 through chapter 7, and it's called the Sermon on the Mount, mainly because it says Jesus was on a mountainside. He sat down and he began to teach his disciples and the people around him. As you listen to his teaching, I want you to think if some of the things that he talked about sound a little upside down. You see, Jesus taught that the kingdom of God and living for God looks different than the way the world lives and the way other people that are living. So sometimes when people look at us as followers of Jesus, it looks strange. It looks different, maybe even a little upside down. Well, let me read to you. Jesus started the Sermon on the Mount with what we call the Beatitudes. Jesus taught about what does it look like to be blessed, to live a good and wonderful life pleasing to God. As I list some of these things out, think about if these are things that other people around us would list as things that lead to a good and wonderful and blessed life. Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, those who mourn. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are those who are merciful, and those who are pure in heart. Blessed are those who are peacemakers." And then finally, this one probably sounded the strangest to all. Jesus said, "Blessed are those who are persecuted, those who are made fun of, those who are opposed because they're living for God." In fact, Jesus said, "Rejoice when others oppose you or insult you because you're living for God," because that's what happens to God's people. It's what happens throughout history when you go back and you look at God's people. They've been opposed, they've been attacked, they've been hurt, they've been mistreated. Because again, like I said, when people watch us live for God and live for Jesus, it looks different than what they think we should live for. As I made that list, does it kind of sound like what other people in our country and in our world would probably say was a good life, a wonderful life? Or might people today say a wonderful, blessed, good life is filled with nice trips and a nice house and a nice car and possessions and toys and wealth? Or maybe the good life is being famous and being on YouTube and a lot of people liking you and knowing who you are. Or maybe the good life is to be really good in sports or in music or in something like that, something that you're good at and people can see that and know that about you. But Jesus doesn't mention any of those things. Those things may happen, and we can honor God with our gifts and talents. But Jesus said, "Blessed are those who were poor in spirit, who were meek, who were peacemakers, who hunger and thirsted for righteousness, not for possessions." And Jesus adds to that later on. Jesus even says that we should store up treasures not here on earth, but in heaven. Jesus said instead of getting as many toys as you can and as many games and tablets and video games and fun things, Jesus said instead, store up your treasure in heaven. You see, Jesus said anything on this earth, eventually it's going to go bad, it's going to break, It's not going to be good anymore, and you can't take it with you when you die. Jesus said instead, store up your treasure in heaven. Do things that will last forever. Show kindness and love and care for others. Live for God and His kingdom, and not just for things for you to have fun with. Jesus also said something else that seems a little upside down. Jesus said, love your enemies. Pray for those that persecute you. Pray for those that don't like you. Show love towards someone who cuts in line, toward a sibling that takes a toy or a game from you, towards someone who makes fun of you. Instead of getting revenge and getting even with them, Jesus says to show love and pray for them. Again, that would look kind of strange and kind of different to most people. Some people maybe say, just ignore someone who's bothering you. But a lot of times, we want to get even. We want to get back at them. But Jesus said, that's not how you live in God's kingdom. You're not trying to get back with them. You want to see them change. You want to love them. You want to pray for them. So, what do you think? Do these sound like things that are a little upside down? Or do these sound like things that everybody would agree with? Well, I think if you ask a lot of people around you, some of these things sound a little strange. This isn't how a lot of people live in the world around us. Usually we want to live for ourselves and the things that we like and the things we want to do and the things that take care of ourselves. But Jesus said we live a life that's different. We live for God and we follow Him as Jesus, as the Son of God. And so we live a life that looks a little upside down. And so I want you to think about that now in your life. If you've trusted in Jesus and you're following Jesus, does your life look more like what Jesus was describing? Or maybe does it look more like just everybody around you? Think about it. Maybe there's one thing in this lesson that you thought, that's something that I want God to help me with, to work on. Maybe you want to be a peacemaker. Maybe you want to work on hungering for God and the things of God. Maybe you want to ask God to help you to love someone who's bothering you, frustrating you, someone who's made fun of you, or maybe even someone who's hurt you in the past, and you want to forgive them, and you want to pray for them, and you want to see God work in their life instead of just getting even. I don't know what it is for you, but think about that and pray to God to ask you. You see, when Jesus finished teaching, it says the people were amazed. They couldn't believe at what Jesus taught, and also they couldn't believe at the authority that Jesus had as He taught. He taught them as one who knew how to live and what to do with authority and power. Because just as we've learned, Jesus was the Son of God. And so Jesus truly can teach us what it looks like to live for God in the kingdom of heaven. Well, I pray that's an encouragement to you this week. It's been good to share with you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.